This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. In my first video from today, I talked a little bit about Joe Biden refusing to extend to the ex-president Donald Trump executive privilege. And in the last two paragraphs of the article, from the article that I was reading from CNN, it raised a question that the committee has specifically asked for all documents and communications within the White House on January 6th, including call logs, schedules, and meetings with top officials and outside advisors, including Rudy Giuliani. And then it goes on to talk about executive privilege and that it is Biden's to assert, not Donald Trump's, not the ex-president who doesn't have executive privilege. Because executive privilege is about the office of the president and not the particular occupant of the presidency. And that leads me to what I want to talk about today, which is the Willard Hotel and how it was the command center. The Washington Post on the 23rd did this piece, this investigative piece, ahead of January 6th. Willard Hotel in downtown D.C. was a Trump team command center for effort to deny Biden the presidency. And first, I'm going to read a little bit from this article very, very briefly, and then we're going to play a clip from Morning Joe yesterday. But if you paid attention at all to the Trump presidency, this question will... I don't know why this question is not being asked around. I don't watch a ton of mainstream news because I do this, and a lot of my time is spent figuring shit out on my own, if you will. And I don't want to give a repeating narrative to you if you watch MSNBC or CNN or, probably not a lot watching Fox News. But you don't come here to hear what you're hearing there. You come here to hear me. Anyway, I'm rambling. If you paid attention to the Trump presidency at all, you know that all of these bootlicking sycophants, these chody turds that just surround Donald Trump in his orbit, satellites of shame orbiting the pumpkin head of Donald Trump, they all give business to Donald Trump through his hotel. So why, if not for the organized nature of denial and plausible deniability, why would they set up camp in the Willard when the DC Trump hotel's right there? That's a question that needs to be asked. It seems that there was planning afoot, that they wanted plausible deniability that Trump wasn't involved, because if they set up shop in Trump's hotel, well, he's implicated. But he's already implicated because, as you're going to hear later in a clip, Donald Trump was steadfastly calling over to the Willard, to the command center, to find out what was going on, because he was thick as thieves with these criminals. He was in it up to his neck with Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman and the rest of the cadre of hangers-on from One America News who were hanging out in the room. Reading from this article from the 23rd, they called it the Command Center, a set of rooms and suites in the posh Willard Hotel, a block from the White House, where some of President Donald Trump's most loyal lieutenants were working day and night with one goal in mind: overturning the results of the 2020 election. The January 6th rally on the Ellipse and the ensuing attack on the Capitol by a pro-Trump mob would draw the world's attention to the quest to physically block Congress from affirming Joe Biden's victory. But the activities at the Willard that week add to an emerging picture of a less visible effort mapped out in memos by a conservative pro-Trump legal scholar and pursued by a team of presidential advisors and lawyers seeking to pull off what they claim was a legal strategy to reinstate Trump for a second term. I've talked about that memo at great length in a video. John Eastman, a local, someone local to where I live here in Orange County, California. Used to be a professor at Chapman University. A real doozy, John Eastman, outlining how to overthrow the United States government and overturn a free and fair election. A real democracy wingnut. They were led by Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Former chief White House strategist Steve Bannon was an occasional presence as the effort's senior political advisor. Former New York City Police Commissioner and convicted felon Bernie Kerik was there as an investigator. Also present was John Eastman, the scholar who outlined scenarios for denying Biden the presidency in the Oval Office meeting on January 4th with Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. Why weren't they at the Trump Hotel? 1. 2, we're now learning, and I'm going to play a brief clip from MSNBC from Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. Robert Costa and Bob Woodward wrote the book Peril, and they are talking about how Donald Trump was calling over there intently, back and forth at the Willard to find out exactly what was going on, not because he missed his pals, but because he was involved up to his neck in this conspiracy to overthrow the United States government. Watch this.
This insurrection against the United States government is so chilling, and it shows just how premeditated that attack was.
Yes, it was all planned out in a key way. We found December 30th, this is a week before January 6th, before the insurrection. Steve Bannon and Trump are talking on the phone, and Bannon is just stirring Trump up, saying, "You've got to come back. This is the day of reckoning in a week. We need to get Pence involved here. We need to get him off the effing ski slopes where they stashed him away." And it's very active, and you start interlacing this with what happened at the Willard Hotel that night, January 5th. I mean, my colleague Costa, who always has the news nose, was there that night.
Well, I was outside in the whole scene.
The reporter.
Banging on the door.
To this day, I wish I had banged a little harder on that door because it was a freezing cold night, and I was roaming around. And it was. I still remember, we talked about it as we were writing, because we didn't know. When you write a book, it takes months to understand the context of what's happening, what actually happened. But that night was eerie because we didn't know at the time that Trump's over at the White House pounding into Pence in the one-on-one Oval Office meeting. And then after it doesn't go well for Trump, he calls in to the Willard War Room. And this is the key thing we found for Peril, that it's not just a Willard War Room happening in an isolated way across the street. The president is calling in. Trump's calling in. He's coordinating this effort to speak for Pence. Remember, late at night, as you detailed earlier, Trump's issuing a statement saying Pence agrees with me. He's effectively taking over the vice presidency, at least in terms of the public message. And this is all just hours before the insurrection.
What you just heard, described by Robert Costa from the Washington Post, co-author of the book Peril, is conspiracy. This was a conspiracy to overthrow the United States government, part of which Donald Trump took. He took part in this, calling with the fat goblin, Steve Bannon, over there, orchestrating it. Rudy Giuliani, feckless as he may be, involved. Bernie Kerik, a criminal, did prison time, also involved. And John Eastman. And this is just what we know right now. More details are coming out through intrepid reporting from members of the free and fair press, the free press, but also through the efforts of the committee, the January 6th Select Committee investigating the events of January 6th. We need to pressure the Justice Department. Are you sick of me talking about Merrick Garland and his perceived inaction here? There needs to be a net cast by federal investigators and authorities to reel in these bad actors who, if not for the bumbling very well would have overthrown the United States government and reinserted Donald Trump, a man who lost the election by 6 million votes, claiming fraud and lying, subverting our very democracy. I would love to know what you think. Today is a good day because we do have some movement. We do have some news. That's good. But it's going to take concerted effort on the part of everyone to pressure their lawmakers, to pressure their members of Congress, their members of the House, the members of the Senate, to get in contact with the Justice Department through whatever means, email, phone, contact form on their website. We need to pressure as a public and demand as citizens of the United States justice. We need to buttress ourselves against the pernicious and sinister efforts of those who would undermine our democracy. What do you think, though? I'd love to hear from you. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. If my work here does something for you, if you appreciate me, I'm not for everybody. I say that all the time. It is true. But if I am for you, if I am your flavor, consider supporting my work. For as little as $2 a month, you can become a channel member. Click the join button below. See what's involved there. Or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'd love to see you follow me on social media. That is a reasonably good time. And I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Take care of one another.